Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Meggitt Phillips, and I am the author of The Beast in the Bethany, Revenge of the Beast, and Battle of the Beast. It's a children's series about a young 500-year-old, a hungry beast, and a child who's going to be eaten. Today, we're here to talk about the Biblio-buzz Alexandra Palace Children's Book Award, and I am feeling happier than a general who's just got their hands on a secret bit of technology because we are joined by the wonderful shortlisted author, Jason Rohan. Woo! My woohoo has gone way too high. I'm deeply sorry about that. But congratulations on writing an absolutely rollickingly good read. For anyone who's unfamiliar with the Stealth series, how would you describe Stealth Access Denied?
Me, an all-action thriller that's got something for everyone. I've got to be polite, I would use other expressions, but if you ever, well, it's like, Fast and Furious, James Bond. If you like any sort of fast-paced action thriller, then this is it in book form, as it were. I
Oh,
thought to myself, why can't you do an action movie as a book and for kids
well,
too?
it completely reads like that. I mean, I think it's described as a series for adrenaline junkies everywhere, and it more than sort of delivers on that promise because you've got gunfights, you've got car/truck chases, more explosions than the bonfire night at Alexandra Palace. So it's really got everything going for it. How do you go about sort of plotting or writing a book which is so sort of pacey and, as you say, feels like an action movie on the page?
Well, I come from a background in comics. I used to work for Marvel
Mm.
Comics for a bit, so I tend to think visually, and I tend to work with pictures and words, which is
Mhm.
ideal for comics and ideal for
Yes.
film. So when I come to write a book, I sort of work in the same way that I construct scenes, add dialogue, and then come back almost for the narrative and the action afterwards. But
Okay, right. Yeah.
but the idea is to keep it moving at all times,
Yes.
keep happening. Yeah.
So the book begins with the hero finding out that there are police at his house. Was that always where you wanted to start the story, or when do you get the sort of first flash of the idea for this book?
Oh gosh, the story came about in lots of different ways. I mean,
Hmm.
I was watching a lot of Thunderbirds with my kids back in the day.
Ah, lovely.
So you'll see the influence, and I suppose a lot of dads do this. You try and like bring your kids to look at some of the stuff you used to watch when growing up, and I'm like, you'll like this, and they're like dubious. And of course, when they get past the puppets and we get to the good stuff, then they're happy. And then so it got me thinking in terms of how do we update that idea? And I saw the Thunderbirds film, which disappointed me a lot, I'm afraid, sorry to say. And I thought, let's take that idea though of rescues and technology and let's see how we make it work. And the problem I had with using a cast of youngsters was that I couldn't have, a bunch of kids driving lots of vehicles. So the idea was to have one vehicle that can do everything. And that was kind of where the idea came to me. And then the idea that we start in the middle of the action with that classic question for any child: what would you do if a parent went missing? And I thought that's my launch point. Let's start from there with a mystery and let it unravel and see where it takes us. So that's kind of how I started.
And I love the way it's sort of the chapters or the breaks in the chapters are so short. It really does feel as if you're sort of it's a quite a sort of breathless experience almost reading it. I had to put it down a couple of times just to take a few deep breaths and then go back into it. I think what really is great as well is the villains in this book. Is it Cipher? Is that how you say his name?
Yes,
The
yes,
name?
yes, yes.
Yes,
His
fantastic.
or her, we're not sure.
Or his or her. Oh, yes, we're not sure. So, but Cypher is a great villain. Could you just sort of describe for anyone who doesn't know how Cypher works? Their
Well,
way,
okay.
would be.
The main villain is I think Dr. Galahad Thorne, but
Mm.
the sidekick, the one who gets their hands dirty, is a character called Cypher. And the thing about Cypher, as the name suggests, is we don't know anything about him or her.
Mm.
We don't even know their gender. We don't know what they look like. We don't even know how tall they are. It's not even like the master of disguise. It's like the master of not being anyone at all, yet everyone at the same time. And I thought that's a superbly creepy idea for a bad guy. And let's just say we know they may come back in future.
Ah,
Yeah.
fantastic. I thought so. And I think that's often the scariest thing and something that books can do. Maybe that not comics or films, is having a villain which is just purely in the shadows, where you don't quite know what they are, what they look like, and somehow when you try and fill in the gaps with your mind, it makes it scarier than if you had written he's got gnarly teeth and all that sort of business, or she's got gnarly
Always.
teeth. Yeah.
No, always. I think your imagination can do far more damage to you than you want. There was a film I saw years ago, which again show my age, in which, long story short, the character, you see the hand appear on screen, and they reach into a sink, they pick up a razor blade. Then the hand goes away from the screen, and you think, what on earth is going on? Then you see a drop of blood fall in the sink, and you're like, oh my gosh, what are they
No.
doing? And it turns out they just shaved their eyebrow off because they had a bit of a breakdown. But you don't know that, and your imagination is conjuring up all these horrible thoughts of what they could be doing to themselves. So yeah, I fully agree that with in some ways the secret of scaring people is not showing it and letting them fill in the blanks themselves.
Yes. And for anyone else who would be looking to create, a villain as scary, and I blame you for the nightmares I had last night of sinister clown mask wearing people. What other tips would you give to maybe young writers or storytellers who are looking to create villains that can make readers shudder?
The best villains are the heroes of their own story in their own mind. Again, I'm a big fan of
that's deep. I like it.
Well, it's like with Thanos in the Avengers. He thinks he's doing a good thing. He thinks he's going to save the universe by taking away half of the life in it and making more space for everyone else. So he thinks he's onto a good thing, saving everyone. And of course, everyone else thinks he's a lunatic who's going to kill everyone. But so the best villains think they are doing the right thing. They think they are the hero, and they think they are out to do good and save the world. They're the best villains. Even in this story, sorry.
No, I think it's often sort of well-intentioned, but completely wrongly realized actions that can make a much more, when a villain completely believes himself, they're not just sort of cackling in the corner thinking, I'm going to take over the world. They're thinking, no, I'm helping the universe, like you say, Thanos or other villains like it. But one of the most sort of arresting scenes in the book is when the hero's father is sort of tormented by Cypher. And another bit that I sort of bookmarked and really enjoyed was when the heroes managed to defeat some other hench villains by throwing a bag of puke at a window. What do you call it? I was going to say windowsill, but that would be terrible. The front of the car. What do you call it? Front window. There you go. Windscreen. So I've got a very deep and meaningful question for you. Would you rather be tormented for an hour by Cypher, or once a month, every month for the rest of your life, you will have a random bag of puke thrown at you, but you don't know when it's going to strike?
That's quite an offer. Since I have a low threshold for pain, I think I would go with the bag of vomit. At least I would know to walk around with a few wet wipes at all times.
Oh, fantastic.
And
for any young Biblio-buzzers watching, you've now heard it here first. Jason would like as much vomit thrown as possible, so all bring your stuff to the Alexandra Palace thing.
They'll be so excited, they'll be sick on the day.
Yes, exactly. That's what we aim for. So stealth, the three members of the team have all got their own unique skills. We've got Aaron, who's the sort of real brains of the operation. We've got Donna, who has got more sort of criminal skills than a whole flock of jailbirds, and we've got Sam, who's a bit of a tech guru. If you were in a stealth style team, what sort of skills do you think you'd be bringing to the operation?
Again, great question. Things I've never been asked.
Yes.
In many ways, of course, I relate to all the characters. I've got aspects of all three of them, in terms of Aaron being somewhat level-headed and being a bit of a leader. I can do that. Yes. Donna being, all the mad skills you need. I can pick up a few of those. And Sam understanding technology. I'm an engineer by trade. So they probably wouldn't need me. I'd just be able to make the sandwiches. Make the sandwiches and carry their bags and just let them get on with it.
Well, no, you can't have making sandwiches. As I was thinking of the questions to ask you, I thought, what would be my special skill? I think I can make a very nice cucumber cream cheese sandwich, which admittedly you don't see an awful lot in Marvel films. So yeah, you're gonna have to find something new. I'm the sandwich man. Title needs to be confirmed, but no, like it.
I'd have to be like Mr. Quinn in the background, sending them on missions and
Yes,
doing
yes, that's good.
cleaning up after them
Yeah.
because they're
So
kids. I'm a dad. I'll be cleaning
yes.
up. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Do you think if you went missing, do you think your kids would do a good job of being able to find you or track you down?
Ooh, good question. I've got five of them, so
Oh, okay.
I'd like to think one of them would get the
Well,
job done.
there you go. That's two more than stealth, and there you go. There's no excuses really.
Well, I wrote the book for the two boys. The two boys asked me, they're like, Dad, write something for us.
Yes.
So they were my first readers, and I blame them actually because as I'd write a chapter, I'd pass it, say, right, what do you think? How are you enjoying it? How's it going? And they keep saying to me, Dad, more action, put more action, more action. And when it finally went to a publisher, guess what the publisher said?
More
Too
action.
much, too
Oh,
much
too
action.
much action.
Yeah,
Oh
we had to
gosh.
cut some of it. It was like a film. I'm like doing
Wow,
bits
really?
on
Yes.
the floor. Yeah, we had to edit it down. So I've got quite a few scenes that were left behind. So there was more than there was actually
Okay,
more
dokie.
than you think.
So is the feedback always very positive from your children, or are they sometimes brutally honest about?
Oh, they have to be brutally honest because I am with them.
Okay. Yes.
I'm one of the horrible dads. They'll draw a picture. Say, Dad, what do you think? I'd be,
Yes.
the eyes need a bit of
More
work.
action. Yes.
I should try that on them sometime.
Yes. So you mentioned that you work for Marvel as well, and there's some delightfully intriguing bit in your bio where you managed to talk yourself into a rather prestigious internship at the age of 17. Could you tell us how that came about?
Largely through stupidity. I mean, teenagers have got this amazing ability just to change reality because they don't take no for an answer. And I was a bit like that. So I'd finished O levels. I was 16, and I had a chance to go to New York for the summer because I've got family there. My parents were saying, "Go visit your cousins. You never met them before." Blah blah.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, I don't really want to go and visit family because you never go anywhere interesting. You're stuck under them the whole time, going to visit this family and this member and this uncle, this aunt. I thought I don't want to do that. But being a big Marvel Comics fan, I was aware that Marvel Comics were based in New York. And I thought, hang on, maybe I can make this work. So I thought, can I not try and work at Marvel? Because I want to be a writer and I love comics. Let's see if I can make it happen. So I wrote to them a few months before I was supposed to go and said, Dear Marvel, I'm coming there for the summer. Can I come and work for you? I'll make coffee, clean the toilets, do anything you want. Just give me a chance. And nothing happened. And obviously thinking, who's this weirdo from England? We never don't know who this kid is. But I thought, I can either just give up now and just say no, or I can try something else. So I wrote back and said, Dear Marvel, maybe you didn't get my letter. No problem. I still want to come work for you. I'll be there in the summer. Give me a chance. P.S. If you don't want me to come, write back and say don't come. That way, at least I'll get an answer.
Hmm.
And of course, they didn't write back. So I went and I've got my tacit permission, as it were.
Yeah, they
And
didn't tell you you weren't invited. So that's how I
exactly.
approach all parties in every neighborhood, Unless you've been expressly told, as I'm often told, don't come, then that's yours to go to, it, really.
That's how it was. So I went. So I found the address. I went on the subway, didn't tell anyone. 10th floor, popped out to the reception, big cardboard Spider-Man, big cardboard Hulk in the right place. Very scary looking receptionist saying to me, are they expecting you? Who are you? And I'm like thinking, no, yeah, they know I'm coming. I told them they know. After a half an hour of confusion, someone came out and he goes, Are you the kid from England? And I said, Yeah, that's me. He goes, You were serious? I said, Of course I'm serious. I'm here. So they were stuck with me. I'm not going anywhere. I've got 6 weeks and I'm not from their lobby. So they found work for me to do. So that's how I got my break,
Wow.
working there. And it was all the horrible jobs I expected, photocopying, running errands and so on. But I got lots of writing tips and I made lots of contacts and I sold a story. So that
Oh,
worked
what
out
was the
well.
story you sold?
It was a Captain America inventory
Ah,
story. They got
yes,
put to one side, but it paid my plane fare home. So
brilliant.
for me,
Yeah.
it was a success. So that's how I got my break. But I wouldn't do it now. I think back in those days at 16, I was unstoppable and stupid. Now I'm far more world wise.
Yes.
Don't think you could do it now.
And what are some of the other Marvel stories you've worked on?
I went back a few years later. I
Hmm.
worked on the Spider-Man books because
Oh, the
editors
best.
would deal with a certain group of stories. So the Spider-Man line, the Hulk stories, and so on.
Hmm.
So I was with the Spider-Man team for a few months.
Oh, brilliant. And yes, would Spider-Man be your favorite of the Marvel superheroes?
Funny enough, no, Iron Man's always been my favorite character
Okay, yes.
in
Well,
the
I suppose he's
comics.
a bit more flawed. Well, Actually, oh no, I was going to agree with you, but no, I'm going to have to be loyal to Spider-Man. I mean,
No, you can see the
great, yes.
influences. No, Iron Man, because
It's
anyone could be Iron Man, you see. You don't
yes,
have to
yes.
be bitten by a spider or be born as
Mhm.
a Norse god. Just open the suitcase, put on the armor, and off you go.
Yes. All
But
you
I will
need is
say,
a couple of £1 billion, and you're ready to go. It's
you're all set. But I will say, since the films have come out, I think Captain America has grown on me a lot. Didn't
Hmm.
like him so much as a comic character, but as a film character, very much.
Yes, yes. And
So,
what are you thinking of the current phase of Marvel films? Are you enjoying them?
current phase is confusing me a lot
Yes.
because they're a bit disjointed. I'm waiting to see a coherent, maybe when the bad guy arrives in the next Ant-Man film, we'll know what they're doing.
Yes,
At the
that'd
moment,
be
they're
good
all
fun.
getting a mishmash. So,
Well, yes. Well, there you go. Any Biblio-buzz is watching. If you want a job at your dream place, just go there and lurk menacingly. That seems to be the general rule. Final question, very important. Was the first? Could be a comic book, could be anything. What was the first thing that got you into reading?
oh, funny enough, I was pre-warned, so
Oh,
I've got a copy here.
oh,
Uh,
wow! That is
and
proper level of preparation. There we
yeah,
go.
look how old this book is. This is, I think, I was
Yes.
8 years old when I first read it. It's King Solomon's Mines, and it's a Victorian novel. And I didn't usually used to read all the old books, but
Mhm.
this is a rip snorting, adventure set in darkest Africa with all kinds of massive fight scenes and great
Yes.
characters. So I read this as a child, and I was very much inspired in terms of like, again, broad scope action adventure. I
Mhm.
recommend it if you want to read a Victorian novel.
Okay, okay. I shall look it up. And clearly a very well loved copy. I'm beginning to get slightly fearful of who these shortlisted authors are, because I was speaking to Alistair as well, and he shared the book that he's chosen, and it looks like he beaten it up to death. So clearly got some very violent readers among the shortlisted authors here. So it's good.
Again, as a child,
As a child, as a child.
nowadays we look after our books.
Now very
Look at that. Look at
pristine. Yes.
that.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, and look forward to seeing you again at the award ceremony. Thanks very much for your time, Jason.
Thank you, Jack. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you at the awards.